Hi there, I'm Samantha Mahoney from OL Moed, and it is my honor and privilege to be with you today. I'm working through a short series on your scroll or the book that was written for you before one of your days came to be. If you're interested in listening to the full series, which I would recommend that you do so that you have all the steps to work out this process, please go back and watch You Are Unique, just like everybody else, and also go and watch What Am I Here For? Last week, we attempted to answer the question, how do I know what's in my scroll? And if you took it seriously and you went and examined your heart and you shook that tree to see what fell out, you would probably have an idea of the desires that God has placed on the inside of your heart in line with your scroll. Some of those questions that I asked, just to recap on them, was, what desires do you have in your heart currently? How are you motivated? What are your passions? What are your strengths? What are your giftings? What are you motivated about? I also asked a question. We went and dug a little bit deeper just to see what your desires are if there were no limitations. And I asked you the question, if you had all the health with no physical limitations, if you had all the money in the world, money was not a limitation for you. If you had all the time in the world to do anything that you wanted, what amazing things does your future hold? It's very sad to say that not many people dream about their future. They're either so stuck in their past or they might be in the present and they never actually look to see, what does my future hold? They never dream. Why are we writing things down? When you write it down and you look at it, you know the direction that you're going in. You know what your next steps are. You know, and you can judge, are the things that I'm doing right now in my life even in line with the desires and how I'm motivated internally? It's according to what's written on your scroll. That's what we're interested in. Is what I'm doing actually what God wrote in that book for me before one of my days came to be? Another question that you might have regarding your book, which I'm hoping to touch on today, is how do I find out what is written in there? So yes, maybe it's part of it is to do with those motivations and those desires on the inside of you. But there are other suggestions, and you know what? Pick and choose. See which one fits you best. If you like all of the suggestions that I'm going to be offering in this series, then why not go and try them all? But one of the other things that you could do, other than checking what is in your heart, how are you motivated, is if you are a seer and you can see in the Spirit, why not ask God to show you what's written there? Now, from experience asking that question and pursuing those answers, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert right now. He probably is not going to show you everything that is written in that book. Because if he showed you everything from start to finish, you would be so overwhelmed. You would want to quit before you've even started. You would go, this is too big. There's no way that I have this capacity on the inside of me to fulfill. I mean, if your book is for good and not for disaster, for prosperity, and you know all of these good things that God's desiring for you to do in this earth, you could very well become overwhelmed and go, this is too big. I'm just going to bow out right now. So you ask him permission, show him, what are my next few steps ahead of me? What are the next few chapters? Show me the direction that I should go in. If you're not confident in your seeing ability to see and read and engage with the spirit realm and see what is written on that scroll, then by all means feel free to use this process that I'm going to share with you right now. This is something that I used when trying to discover what was in my scroll. So let me tell you a little story first to tell you how I got to this process. My husband, Grant, who you will know from other segments on this YouTube channel, he sees amazingly well in the spirit realm. He sees more clearly in the spirit than he does in the natural, which is how he knows which realm he's looking into. So a few years ago, as I was agonizing over this exact process that you're working through right now, I go to him because I go, well, there has to be advantages to be married to such a man who can see. And now don't get me wrong, I do see, but it's nowhere near as clear and detailed as he does. So I go to him and I say, could you please find my book, read it, and tell me what is on my scroll for me to be doing? Being a good wife that I am, I didn't want to nag him straight away, so I thought giving him 3 days to go and action my request was pretty lenient and pretty thoughtful of me. And being the amazing husband that he is, he did go and do just that for me. But the answer that he gave me after those 3 days was definitely not what I expected, and to say the least, I was mildly disappointed. But I had a lot to learn from this experience. So what he shared with me was that he was taken into this room by his intent to go and access my book. He was taken into this room. And he said, and I saw a lectern. Now, forgive me if the language that I use is not one that you're familiar with, so I'll give you another word if lectern doesn't blow your hair back. A podium. He saw this lectern or this podium in this room with my book on it. And he said, standing in front of my book was a being. He said it was not an angelic being, not one that he had ever seen before. He said it was oval in structure, and he said it was so bright, but it had different intensities of light from the inside to the outside of this being. And he went up to this being and he went to look at my book, and the being said, no, you don't have permission to read this book. This is Samantha's book for her to access. So that's where my disappointment came in. I was like, oh, okay, I've got to do this myself. But he said one other thing that I noticed in the room, he says, was that it wasn't just one lectern with your book on it. There were millions in this room, all of them sitting open on the lectern. And he said, and those books belong to every person who was alive at the time of that encounter. He said, and this being had a frequency about it, and he would read every person's book out into the atmosphere from start to finish of that book. And that reading would start as soon as the light broke in the dawn. So that's when it starts, when the light of the sun breaks the dawn. And he said, and that being would read all of the books until the full ball of the sun was up on the horizon, was visible in the sky. As I said, I learned a lot from that particular encounter. The first thing was not to be lazy, to do what I need to do concerning my own book rather than palming it off onto somebody else to do my job. You know, too often we abdicate our responsibilities. We want someone else to walk out the process for us. We want someone else to fix it for us. But we can totally miss our opportunity for intimacy with God and excitement on the journey of discovery. We miss out on those growth opportunities to go and discover things for ourselves, for our own lives, for our future generations. So my next move was to engage with the contents of my scroll, and it involved prayer, but the prayer of faith. Because remember, I wasn't in that room with my husband. I didn't see what he saw, but what he saw, his vision empowered something for me to access. And this is what I now share with you. So knowing what I know from Grant's encounter, that there is a being that reads all of our books every single day from start to end, and that reading happens as soon as the sun breaks the dawn, and it stops when the full ball of the sun is out on the horizon. I begin to engage with my scroll in the following way, and please feel free to use it if this is something that appeals to you. But I would say, Father, today is a new day. I bless this day. It's the day that the Lord has made. I will be glad and rejoice in it. I also mentioned before that our will is a very important part of this process of engaging with your scroll. And I would say, Father, today I set my will to give you my yes. I know that my book and the contents of it, that was your desire, that you wrote before I was even formed in my mother's womb, that I give you my yes to. Whatever that looks like, I say yes. I put my hand up, just like you asked the prophet, who shall I send? And he said, here I am, send me. I'm giving you my same answer. I set my will in agreement with the scroll. So Father, if there is anybody that I have to meet today, who you've got a word for, or who just the presence of God can reach out and touch, even because we all carry frequency, right? We have a electromagnetic field around our heart, and what you carry on the inside of you has the ability to shift atmospheres. So Father, if there is anyone who is on my scroll for this day, who I need to meet, I say yes, set up the meeting for us. If there are any words that have to come from my belly, which produce that river of life out of our belly, that someone needs to drink of, where I can have a word in and out of season for anybody, would you set up that meeting? I thank you that whatever trials I face today, you've already given me the answer. You have already gone before me and prepared the way. I just give you my full trust in this process. I trust you to turn all things for my good, because your grace is sufficient for me. Whatever I have to learn today, whatever you're teaching me today, I'm asking you that you give me eyes that see, ears that hear, and a heart that understands. I lean totally on the wisdom of the Holy Spirit to move me to my next level, to direct my steps according to what is written in the scroll of my life. So that's been my process. Be welcome to do that. I do that most days, just giving him my yes. Next week, I'm going to share on a process that my family and I have practiced, and it has honestly altered the course of all of our lives. But I do want to place a warning in advance of you watching that particular segment. It could be totally life-altering for you, but so well worth it. I thank you today for tuning into this Eternal Echoes segment on our YouTube channel. Again, I'm Samantha Mahoney, and if you have enjoyed what you've watched, don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, stay inspired and keep your light shining. Shalom.